Hello, welcome back to LTC Heroes Live. My name is Ethan Murphy Lewis. I'm your host. This episode is sponsored by Experience Care, and today we are at the 2022 Ohio Healthcare Convention and Expo, and I'm joined today by Tony Wheaton. He's the long-term care administrator at Crystal Care Center of Mansfield. Tony, welcome to the program.
Happy to be with you this morning, Peter.
Tony, I'm excited to hear your story. I've met some amazing individuals over the last 2 or 3 days here in Ohio. The conversations have been amazing. I always take pieces and bits and bring them back in. So I'm excited to hear how you got into long-term care. I call it the initiation story. Who threw you in the deep end? Do you remember your first day? Can you give me the most details that you remember?
Yes, I do, Peter. Ever since I was a young kid, I've always had a desire and a longing to help those out there who were older than me. My mother raised me up to respect my elders. And so growing up in the church, I would always, throughout the week, get on my bike and ride over to the homes of some of the elderly mothers of my church. And I would just always enjoy being with them and spending time with them. So little did I know that would eventually lead into a profession and a career for me later on in life. So I'm from Toledo, Ohio originally, went to school at Ohio State. And after I graduated from Ohio State, I didn't want to go right back to Toledo directly. So I had some friends that were in the Mansfield area. And so I decided to just hang out with them for a little while. So through that relationship, I was introduced to a young man that told me, hey, I have a brother-in-law who has some interest in a nursing home here in Mansfield. I know you're still looking for work. Would you be interested in interviewing for a position in the personnel department at this nursing home? And I had graduated with a degree in business. At that point, that was the best opportunity that I had. So I went in for an interview, and they must have liked me to the point where they actually offered me a job. So I started out actually doing human resources in the nursing home back in 1984. So after doing that for probably a year and a half or 2 years, the owner of the facility suggested, hey, you're doing a great job for me here in HR. How would you feel about becoming an administrator? So I was young, looking to advance in my career. So I saw that as an opportunity for something that I might enjoy. So went through the Core Knowledge program down here at Ohio State, did a year-long practicum, came down to Columbus, set for the test, and lo and behold, I passed my test, and I started my administrator career in 1984.
So, Tony, I want to ask about your work in personnel and human resources. Have things changed in 30-some years?
Everything has changed, Peter, in 30-something years in long-term care, including HR. HR is so critical now, especially when it comes to not only hiring in employees, but retention, employee retention. They can play a big role in that with our benefits and so on and so forth. So again, we have to connect with our staff, and HR is the mechanism in any facility through which you contact and talk to your employees. So very important function.
I want to ask a question. If we had one of your frontline care workers that's been with you 10 or 15 years, someone you know is dedicated, part of the institution, part of the furniture at Crystal Care, and we made them in charge of HR for one day, what would they go out and tell these applicants saying why you should work here? What would your frontline care workers be most proud about?
Reputation. Crystal Care Center of Mansfield is the absolute leader for long-term care in North Central Ohio. Our reputation, the facility started in 1993, and the owners were always committed to residents and serving residents to the highest degree possible. And so, I've been doing this a long time, Peter. I've been doing this again 38 years, and I've been working for Crystal Care 9 of those years. And I can truly everybody from the ownership down to the frontline workers know the reputation of our facility in the area, and they are committed to performing their job with the highest degree of integrity and doing so in a way that is going to benefit and allow our residents to have a positive experience each and every day. It's all about the residents at the end of the day, and how can we add to, not take away to their daily function and their enjoyment of being where they are in the twilight of their years.
Tony, what does an ideal frontline caregiver look like to you when you are hiring or you're talking to your HR team? What are the attributes that you are looking for to represent your organization?
There's one word, Peter, that sums it all up. This is the number one characteristic you need to have if you want to be successful, not only in your career, but in impacting residents' lives on a daily basis. You have to have, you probably were going to think that I was going to say compassion, which that's very important, Peter. But I have a word that's even more important than that, a characteristic that's even more important than that. And you know what that? It's a 4-letter word, not a 4-letter cuss word, but a 4-letter positive word. And that word is love. You have to have a heart full of love to be successful in this business. Because you know what, Peter? If you have love in your heart, then compassion, kindness, those things are going to flow out of that love. Remember, there was a song a long time ago, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And they were point on. Love, love, love is the key to being successful.
You are so charismatic. I feel like everyone in the room has to be watching us because this is going amazing. I love talking to you, Tony.
Yeah.
You're the first person who's ever said the word love when I've asked that question. I like you said it. I'm going to ask you now, when you mentioned that, I feel like when you were telling me about why that characteristic is critical for you all, I feel like you probably have someone in mind that already works for you and that defines love. I think to bring more people into this industry, we need to celebrate what we just survived through COVID. Who could we celebrate from your organization? Who represents and defines love for you on your team? You don't have to go through all of them because someone's going to feel left out. Let's go with one person right away.
I'm going to start with the owner. Actually, I'm going to start with the owner, Susan Smith. Susan is a faith-based person, as I am myself, Peter. My faith is very important to me. My love of God is very important to me, and I'll tell it on the mountaintops. I'm not afraid to say that. So that's where, that's the reason I believe love is such a component. One of the verses and one of the parables that I go by in life, and it's really one of the shortest verses in the Bible, Peter. God is love. So I learned from a long time growing up in the church at an early age that love is the key to a positive existence in this world. And and that's in your family, that's in your workplace. Love, you can't go wrong spreading love no matter where you are. And so when it comes to my facility, the ownership of the facility was based on love. The purchase of the facility was based on love. So the principles for that, Peter, come from the top, and it just flows all the way throughout our organization. I'm thinking of my department heads, Peter. My department heads have been there multiple years, and that goes to the social service director, that goes to the director of nursing, that goes to the business office manager. It goes to my entire team. We love each other at the end of the day, and we're like a family. But just like any family, I don't want to give anybody the illusion that things go perfectly every day in long-term care, but they don't, because they don't. But if you have a basic love for each other and what you're trying to do, you can get through any situation, any circumstances, especially during these challenging times that we're facing now.
I'm glad that you mentioned that the owner was the person who defines what is the key characteristic for you. I'd love to meet Susan because that's a cool story. How would Susan define your leadership style? What would she say? Well, I guess, how would she define it today? And if I asked her how you have evolved, what would she say?
That he loves people, that I love people. And I do have a love for people. And, again, I just base everything that I am around my faith. I have to give credit to my mom, who was a single mom. She raised me and my two brothers on our own. And so I got that soft touch, that gentleness from my mother, just being raised up by a woman. So again, she would see me as the type of person who is just very outgoing, who loves just spending time with people, sharing my knowledge, getting knowledge, getting knowledge. I mean, I'm open to what my residents have to tell me. I'm open to what my staff has to tell me. You can't have a dictatorial style. You have to lead by example through your staff. You're only as good as your staff. You're only as good as your residents at the end of the day. And I think that's why we're so successful at Crystal Care Center, is because we don't do things just our way. We do things that are gonna basically, at the end of the day, be a blessing to those that we are in charge of. I feel like the Lord has put me in a position to help those that are less fortunate, and I want to take care of them and then treat them in a way that is pleasing to Him.
I want to ask you a question that I guess I'm going to ask you to be a little bit vulnerable. I want to
Yes.
ask you what you learned about yourself through COVID. Either you learned about your communication style that you polished or you needed to improve, or you realized how you handled stress, you could do a better job, or you realized that the way that you handled stress was amazing. Look, you could be positive, it could be negative. What did you learn about yourself?
Well, first of all, Peter, I would have to say that when I started my career, I never in a million years thought that we would go through a pandemic in the true sense of the word. Pandemic was a word that I believe I was aware of just very basically, but I didn't know what a pandemic really was. And it was only until we were hit with an actual pandemic that I saw the devastating effects of this on our country, on each of us individually. And so I would say that as a result of this pandemic, it helped us become more prepared in a real sense. We thought we were prepared in terms of how to protect our residents and take care of our residents in an emergency, but nobody knew what a true pandemic really meant. It was devastating to our facility, Peter, just as it was devastating to so many facilities across this country. We lost residents. We lost residents that we loved, that we had connection with, that we enjoyed coming into work and sharing time with every day. And we lost some of those very valued um, members of our community. And so that was an eye opener for us. It was a real eye opener for us, and it let us know that these things that we have to be aware of each and every day: infection control, the importance of it, the importance of really truly protecting our residents in a real sense. And has it been stressful for the long-term care industry over the last few years? Absolutely, it has. But you know what? There's an old saying, Peter, and you're aware of it: whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger. And even though we had deaths as a result of this pandemic, those of us that have whether it be our staff members or even the residents that survived it, and many did, we are better prepared, and we are stronger, and we are more thankful for life each and every day. We don't take it for granted anymore.
Is I guess I want to ask you, when you were at the most critical moment during COVID, maybe
Yes.
it was late March, I don't know when your first wave hit you, how did you react? Did you have insomnia? Did you buckle down and start eating better than ever, knowing that you were going to have to work 20 hours a day? Can you take me back to how you reacted?
COVID, Peter, COVID affected every part of our lives. I mean, mentally, physically, and spiritually, emotionally, the toll that is taken on facilities. I see my staff, and I see what they've come through. And if we're being honest with ourselves, many of them are still suffering from varying degrees of PTSD. They were shell shocked by this thing. And again, when a facility experiences the losses that we did in terms of our residents, it's devastating. It's devastating. But at the end of the day, it's that unity, that teamwork, that unity, that coming together, being able to lean on each other and talk to each other, not only professionally, but emotionally. That has gotten us all through these very, very tumultuous times. So again, I'm just so thankful that I'm in a facility that doesn't change a DON or an administrator every other year or so. We're a family. And again, being a single, independently run facility, family owned facility, not a corporate concern, I believe that has helped us stay strong in these difficult times.
Tony, as we start to wrap up, I want to ask you about what brings you to the Ohio Healthcare Convention. There's a special feeling here. I feel like the members here are tight. People have been coming for a long
Yes.
time. You told me you've already been to a number of sessions. You know, why did you come? What are the kind of questions and conversations that you're having in the hallways that you're sharing with your peers so that you all can deliver better care?
Peter, this is one time a year where I get to come down and just spend time with my friends in the business, people who have mentored me, people who I look up to in this business. We come together every year and just have this celebration of life, a celebration of our industry. And again, unfortunately, because of COVID, Peter, I think a lot of good people have left this industry. But those of us that continue to hang in there, and again, I'm not a young man. I just celebrated my 62nd birthday on May 5th. So I'm getting older, and retirement is in my foreseeable future. But I want to leave this industry knowing that I've had a positive impact on those that I've worked with. I would hope that they would have good things to say to me about how I tried to treat people. I tried to treat people fairly, firmly sometimes when necessary, but in a fair way, because that's the way I was raised. So again, we just love coming down here, spending time with each other, and encouraging each other through the difficult times that we're dealing with in terms of staffing and shortages and low census. And we can come down here and lean on each other and encourage each other that, hey, if we just put one foot in front of the other, take it day by day, we're going to come out of this on the other side, Peter, even stronger and better.
Tony, my last question for you, and it has to do with changing the perception of long-term care to those that are not in this industry. And what I love so much about working in this industry and being a CNA myself is the intangibles that I receive from working with peers and with our seniors. What are the intangibles that you think we gain, we learn from working in this industry that we should do a better job of explaining so we can do a better job of recruiting young people?
You know, Peter, long-term care is one of the most noble professions one could ever come in. And the reason why is you get to share your experiences with other people each and every day. And, you know, as I contemplate leaving this industry down the road here in the next few years, it's what I've received from people more than what I've given. And again, our residents, each of them have a unique story to tell. And, you know, some of the things that we're going through in life that we've gone through. I love sharing some of those issues with my residents because some of them have gone through these very same experiences, and they are a wealth of knowledge. They are to be valued, Peter. They're not to be thrown away. And again, you know, a library is an important place because of all the books and all of the knowledge that resides in a library. Well, we have a living library in every long-term care facility in this country. And our books are our residents. And if we would just take the time to spend a little time with them, we'll receive an education much greater than anything that we've ever done. They, at the end of the day, our residents is what long-term care is all about. I would say this one last thing too, Peter. I think at the beginning of this pandemic, our industry was somewhat made out to be a scapegoat. Okay, we were a scapegoat. We've always fought a negative stereotype in long-term care, but all it takes, you know, when you don't work in this industry every day, you don't know what really goes on. But for those of us caregivers in long-term care that have done this for decades, as is the case with me, you know that these are places of importance. But again, our seniors it's what it's all about. And we gain value. We become the people we are because of our residents.
Tony, I really admire and appreciate you giving that insight because I can remember you specifically said you feel like you've taken more than you've given. When I was doing my clinicals, every single night I came home after doing a long shift, and my wife said, "You should be so tired." And I said, "I'm energized. I feel like I need to stay up and talk to you for 4 hours about what I've learned, taking care of this dementia person, or learning to bathe this person and make them feel comfortable, or shampooing a person the day before she passed."
Right.
And she's like, "Oh my goodness. Dennis, did you drink a bunch of coffee tonight? I said, no, long-term care. I got long-term care in my soul.
Yeah, long-term care-itis. And again, Peter, our residents, I just love our residents so much. None of us are here. This doesn't even happen, this conference, without our residents. So let's value them. Let's glean whatever knowledge and wealth we can get from them. And you know what? We're going to be the type of person that our existence on this world was worth it. And we're going to be able to bless people because of the blessings we have received from them.
Well, Tony, thank you so much for joining me on LTC Heroes. I hope to come visit Crystal Care in person one day and feel the love in the halls and meet your residents. I hope to meet you back here in Ohio. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And thank you, Peter, and thank you for what you do each and every day to care for those that are less fortunate than we are. God bless you. Thank you, Peter, and thanks again for your investment in long-term care and what you have done to take care of one life at a time. And if we can add to their quality of life, that's what we're to do. We're not to take away from it, but we're to just add that a little bit more to them because, again, who knows how much time our residents have. But at the end of the day, you want to know that you left your shift, that person feeling a little bit better about their day. And again, it's from day to day to day for them. I'm taking care of my mom in my nursing home. I'm pretty sure, I wish I could have said that. Yeah, my mom is actually with me, and I love having her there with me, and I'm able to see her every day. And
yeah, that's beautiful.
That's cool. Well, good luck to you, Peter.
I'll send this over to you, and we'll write up a blog for you as well.
Yes, thank you very much. You have a blessed day.